that we're doing about the different laws and customs within of Sukkot, the festival that we're speaking about. We are in the heart of at the moment. I'm once again using the excellent notes from the OU website, let's just say illustrator with Rabbi Yonatan Nakson, who we've actually used with regards to our notes with regards to Tisha B'Av, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Aseret Yimei Teshuvah during the 3 weeks. Here, naturally, we continue this on Sukkot. I'm going to relate over part of his article over here. Maybe we'll cover the whole thing. It depends on the time frame that we've got at the moment. We're talking about sitting and eating in the Sukkah on the first night of Sukkot. That's how we're starting over here. The obligation of eating bread in a Sukkah. So it's an excellent note which the OU, Orthodox Union, has actually printed on their website. So we're going to talk about the first halacha over here, which I think is based on the Shulchan Aruch in 639, if I'm not mistaken. One is obligated to eat a kazait or bread inside the Sukkah on the first night of Sukkot. On the right, that's first thing. Very interesting. Number 2, the kazait bread that one must eat in the Sukkah is measured by weight of 27 grams. This is the Chazon Avadia in Sukkot without interrupting. Number 5, the kazait be sweet. And I give you the source for this. I believe it's Chazon Avadia in Sukkot between pages 117 till 120. On the first day of Sukkot, the kazait bread should be eaten before Chatzot. If one did not have an opportunity, let's say, to eat in the Sukkah until May. Number 7. Longer fulfill the mitzvah. That's very interesting. Let's see, the source of that is Aruch Shulchan 639, number 4. I think Chazon Avadia in page 112 of the Halachot of Sukkot brings this down, which is interesting. Number 8, it is an aveira to eat bread outside of a Sukkah each time. So it just shows the importance of eating bread inside the Sukkah in of itself. Now, kavanah, intention for the mitzvah. What are we talking about here? Number 10, when sitting in the Sukkah and eating throughout Sukkot, and especially on the first night of Sukkot, this Jewish festival, one should have in mind the following mitzvot. Okay, so let's talk about it. Number 1, he's eating in the Sukkah to commemorate the Ananei Kavod, the clouds of glory that surrounded the children of Israel in the desert as they left Egypt, Mitzrayim. Also, number 2, Zecher LeYitziat Mitzrayim, remembering the exodus from Egypt. And 1 is fulfilling the mitzvah of eating in the Sukkah. They should have that in mind. Number 11, now, throughout the 7 days of Sukkot, one fulfills a mitzvah for every second that one sits inside Sukkah. How about what if it's going to rain on the first night of Sukkot? What does this mean? What ramifications? Even on the first night of Sukkot, one is not obligated to eat in the Sukkah if it is raining heavily. One who wants to stay up and wait for the rain to pass to eat kazait in Sukkah is considered praiseworthy. Now, the source for this is source number 11. I think it comes from a Shulchan Aruch on the 639, number 5, the Ramah. Okay, we'll talk about being stringent on this. Okay, number 13. If one did not recite a Shechianu when sitting in Sukkah because it was raining, but recite Shechianu when reciting Kiddush, he should not recite another Shechianu when the rain clears and he's able to enter the Sukkah. Okay, now washing for bread outside the Sukkah. Let's look at this. Let's speak about this now. Washing for bread outside the Sukkah. Number 14. One is permitted to wash his hands for Netzilat Yadayim inside the Sukkah. Number 15. It is not permitted for one to wash his hands over grass, even if one does not have intention to water the grass by doing so. Similarly, when eating outside, one should be cautious to not spill one's drink on the grass. 16. Okay, very interesting. One may use a sink that is outside the Sukkah, that has a pipe that drains out into one's yard, even though it will drain, let's say, onto the plant. Okay, what's a bracha upon eating in Sukkah? That's the next thing we concentrate on here. The proper pronunciation of the bracha while sitting in Sukkah is lishev b'sukkah. Pronounce lishev b'sukkah. Okay, you're going to have to look at the article itself because I don't want to mistake over here and then be culpable for that. Unlike Ashkenazi custom to pronounce a bracha as leishev basuka. Okay, so that's just a side point. Okay, number 17. Custom of most Sephardim is to recite the bracha of leishev basuka before sitting down to make amotzi, which is unlike the Ashkenazi custom he writes over, which is to recite this bracha after hamotzi. If one recited leishev basuka after hamotzi, one has fulfilled his obligation still. So it's not ruining, let's just say, the chiyuv of this mitzvah. Okay. Number 18. If one is unable to sit for whatever reason, he may still recite the bracha of leishev basuka even though he will be standing while eating. Now, number 19. If one began eating and remembered that he did not recite a leishev basuka, he may recite the bracha when he remembers. One may still recite the bracha even if he will not be eating a kibetza or bread afterwards, since as long as one will be eating or even drinking items that are part of his meal, a bracha may still be recited. However, once, let's say, one has finished his meal and has no intention to eat or drink anymore, a leishev basuka may no longer be recited for the meal at that point in time. Let's say if one is unsure whether he recited leishev basuka, he should not recite any other bracha over here. Instead, he should think the words of the bracha without verbalizing. That's what is stipulated over here. I'll give you the source for this one. I'm not going to source every single halacha which I relate over. This is number 21 here in the article, and the source actually is a Chazon Avadi in Sukkot in page 178 till 181. Okay. If one recited Birkat Hamazon but did not leave the sukkah and now wants to begin eating again, he may not recite another leishev basuka. What if someone forgot the tefillah inside the Birkat Hamazon of Ya'aleh v'Yavo on the first night of Sukkot? Number 22. Since there's an obligation to eat bread on the first night of Sukkot, one who forgot to recite Ya'aleh v'Yavo in Birkat Hamazon must do as follows. If he remembers before finishing the bracha of Bnei Yerushalayim, he should finish the bracha with the words Lamideni Chukecha, and then return to Ya'aleh v'Yavo. Let's say if one already recited the bracha of Bnei Yerushalayim, he should immediately say afterwards. Now the source over here for this is from Sidur Yechavedat, page 268. That might not have been that clear over there. Okay. So if one, I'll go back to it. He actually tells you what. If one already recited the bracha of Bnei Yerushalayim, he should immediately say afterwards, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shenatan yamim tovim la'amo Yisrael l'sason u'simcha et yom chag haSukkot hazeh et yom tov mikra kodesh hazeh Baruch Ata Hashem hakadosh Yisrael v'zmanim. Obviously, naturally, you would put in the Hashem's name if you're doing it proper. If one did not remember until after he began to recite the fourth bracha on Birkat Hamazon, now he must return to the beginning of Birkat Hamazon and start again. Okay. Number 23. If one forgot to recite Ya'aleh v'Yavo in Birkat Hamazon on any of the days of Sukkot other than the first night, one does not have to repeat it. However, if one remembers immediately after reciting Bnei Yerushalayim, he should recite the bracha recited in the above halacha. Number 24. If one is unsure whether he recited Ya'aleh v'Yavo, even on the first night of Sukkot, he does not have to go back and recite Birkat Hamazon. Okay, number 25. A woman who forgot to recite Ya'aleh v'Yavo on Sukkot, even on the first night, does not have to repeat Birkat Hamazon. Number 26. If one is unable to eat in the Sukkah on the first night of Sukkot, he is nevertheless obligated to eat a kazait or bread. However, if one forgot to recite Ya'aleh v'Yavo in such a situation, he does not have to repeat Birkat Hamazon. Okay, let's continue at the moment, because this might be 1 or 2 sessions we'll cover this in. What if one's table is outside of the sukkah? One who is sitting in sukkah and eating by a table that is situated outside of the sukkah has not fulfilled this obligation, even if his body is inside the sukkah. This is because of the rabbinical enactment that one may not eat, let's say, in the sukkah on a table that is outside of the sukkah, since one might come to eat outside the sukkah by leaning towards his table. Let's find the source for this. Source number 29 is Shulchan Aruch 634, number 4. Also, we should see the Yalkut Yosef Sukkah, page 419. Okay, so now the next halacha over here. Let's make a progress. Okay. One may fulfill his obligation with a table that is outside of his sukkah if he does not eat off the table and instead holds his food in his hands. Okay, number 29. It is not sufficient for another person to remind him that he may not eat outside the sukkah when one is eating by the table that is outside the sukkah. Number 30. One who ate by a table that is inside the sukkah but is below non-kosher schach has fulfilled his obligation, though one's table should be under kosher schach. That is the code of conduct which should be done. One may sleep in a bed that is mostly inside the sukkah and only partially outside, even if his feet are outside the sukkah or under a space that is invalid to sit under. However, most of his body must be inside the sukkah in order to fulfill the obligation. Okay, now the conduct within regards to being inside the sukkah in of itself. Let's explore that, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, number 33. The mitzvah of being in the sukkah throughout Sukkot includes eating, drinking, sleeping, and even just walking around, or let's say having a leisure seating. Just as one would live and go about in his home, one must also live in his sukkah. Throughout Sukkot, one's sukkah should be primarily dwelling place of the person. One should bring any fancy dishes or decor into the sukkah to create an ambience of one's regular home inside the sukkah. Number 35. When one finished his meal, he should not leave dirty dishes inside the sukkah, since the sukkah must be treated with utmost respect and cleanliness. Similarly, one should not bring unnecessary dishes to the table. For instance, one should not bring a pot into the sukkah and then empty out its contents onto the serving tray. Rather, one should place the food on the serving tray before bringing it into the sukkah. Number 37. Any sort of act, let's say, that may be considered unclean, such as washing dishes or changing, let's say, baby's diaper, should not be performed in sukkah. A person may not pass through a sukkah to use it as a shortcut. So that's interesting. Now I'll give you the source for that one. I'm not sourcing all of them. There's sources for everything in his article. It's a Chazon Ovadia, page 129 in Sukkot, and there's other sources also. Okay. Smoking, obviously, smoking is permitted in the sukkah. However, one should not do so if it disturbs other people. So one's got to ask other people. It actually happened to me today. Someone was smoking inside a sukkah, which I was in, a communal one, and he actually asked me if I minded. So I didn't really kick up a fuss with him. Okay, one may fulfill the mitzvah of or not in the sukkah. Okay, that's interesting. Number 43, that sources come from a Taz in 639, number 4, and Birkei Yosef in 639, number 3, and various other places. Okay. Even though one may not urinate in the sukkah, an elderly person who wants to sleep in the sukkah and obviously is not able to go back and forth from the sukkah to his home to use the restroom may urinate in the sukkah and then cover the bowl in which he relieved himself. In the morning, the bowl should be removed from the sukkah. Now, the source for that is a Chazon Ovadia, page 129 and 131. I think he also... Okay. Throughout Sukkot, one should learn and read in Sukkah. However, if one is unable to concentrate on his learning in Sukkah, he may learn indoors. Similarly, if one needs many books to learn properly and they are only available indoors, one does not have to learn in Sukkah. In any case, a bracha should not be recited when learning in Sukkah. Number 43. If it begins to rain while one is in Sukkah, one may go indoors and does not need to wait for it to begin raining heavily. Number 44. One should always pray in the synagogue, even if one may also make a minyan in his sukkah, since there is no better place prayer than the synagogue. Synagogue is ideal. The Zohar in Emor 103b states that during Sukkot, the ushpizin are present in sukkah. Therefore, one must act with respect and dignity in the sukkah and not speak like frivolous matters, such as, let's just say, and get angry or gamble, let's just say. Last one of the day we're going to do, it's praiseworthy custom to set aside a special chair in sukkah for the ushpizin. So that's another good tidbit. Wishing you all well today. I'm going to call it today. Take care, and we're going to hopefully continue with this article. We've only covered about half of it.